Well, let's go on a break, or let's go to the telecommunications industry, where they've embarked on a campaign to secure permission for the Nigerian Communications Commission to implement a 100% tariff hike. The proposal is deemed necessary by the industry players to combat the effect of inflation rate. Of Nine Mobile is joining us live from the United States, Mr. Obafemi Banigbe. Good afternoon, Mr. Banigbe, and thank you so much for your time.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Obafemi Banigbe. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Hello?
All right, if you can hear me, you have been in saddle for like a little over 6 months. What do you think really are the most critical issues affecting the growth and development of Nigeria's telecommunications sector? Of course, some challenges.
Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me now? If you can hear me, it's been a pleasure to be on this call with you this afternoon. Yes, it is true that I have been on the saddle in the last 6 months, of course, as the CEO for Nine Mobile, and then it's been a very interesting challenge looking at the industry and then looking at the way the market has evolved. So the Nigerian telecom sector has really faced a lot of headwinds in 2024. Majority of the challenges that we face has to do with the old inflation and then the currency devaluation challenges that we face. What that has done is that it has led to an increase in our cost structure, which has also led to an increase in the overall cost of doing business. So our cost has grown much faster than our revenue has grown. So what that meant is that the majority of all the telecom players in the market are now making losses. So because of that cost increase and because of the overall environment, the cost of borrowing has gone up. It's becoming very difficult to attract the required investments that the market requires to be able to invest in the needed infrastructure to secure quality of experience for the end user. So we still believe that the market has a lot of opportunities for tremendous growth because of data usage. A lot of customers are now basically embracing the old digital revolution. Digital adoption is increasing. Data usage is going up. So people demand much more better quality of experience than most of us have been able to deliver. And this is the reason why the industry is saying for the industry to survive, we have to embrace what we call a market-reflective tariff structure that allows us to cover our costs and also allows us to be able to plow back cash flows to reinvest back into the business and reinvest back into the sector so that we can deliver good quality of experience to the end user.
Now, there have been concerns about the sustainability, of course, of the industry and, of course, amid ongoing economic challenges. Now, let's look at what are the industry risks and, of course, network issues. How can the industry navigate through all of this? There seems to be much. We have industry risk stagnation, network degradation, and some potential shutdowns that we have in some cases. How can you navigate through this path?
Well, when we talk about sustainability, I mean, even though I'm an industry leader, we also need to understand that the economic challenges that we are dealing with as a nation impact so many other people as well. We understand that the populace is not finding it funny with the inflationary pressures that everybody is dealing with. So it would be naive of us to say that we do not understand that things are quite tough. So we empathize with the populace. So when it comes to the issue of tariff increase, is a sensitive one, and then we need to approach it with a lot of empathy. The industry recognizes that the telecommunication services are essential to daily living, and then we need to be able to strike a balance between sustainability and affordability. So for us, for our business to remain a going concern, we have to be able to cover the costs that we incur. And we have to be able to generate the cash flows in order for us to reinvest back into the quality of services, to improve quality of services in our market. In a situation where all the people providing services to the telecom sector, our TELCOs, Maintenance service providers have all increased their costs. The cost of energy has gone up. Effectively, it means that a lot of our costs have gone up by almost 300%. So the cost challenges, the major challenges that we face. However, we also understand that as an industry, for us to continue to power the Nigerian economy, like you know, the Nigerian telecommunication sector has contributed to the GDP of Nigeria to the tune of about 14.55% in the last year alone. Now, for us to continue that level of trajectory in terms of powering the growth of the digital sector and powering the whole economic evolution as we seek towards the $1 trillion economy, we have to be able to reinvest into the market. So if you look at Nigeria as a population, Nigeria is around 220 million people. Over the next 20 to 25 years, we expect that the market is going to grow to almost 400 million people. That number of population requires very strong and robust digital infrastructure that the telecom operators are committed to investing in. But for us to be able to justify and sustain that level of investment, we have to be able to ensure that we can pay back the capital that we are borrowing from the market. Because if you're not able to generate the right returns to be able to keep that investment ongoing, we will not be able to continually draw down on the investment opportunities that are available in the sector. So these are the challenges that we face. And when we are talking about tariff increase, we are basically saying the market must reflect, the tariff must reflect the market condition, and we must be able to ensure that we can cover our costs. Over the last 18 months, we've been able to absorb a lot of those costs by borrowing from our shareholders and also by borrowing from the market. Now, that is not sustainable in the long run, and this is why we're saying we have to basically do something, and do nothing is not a strategy at this point in time because the industry really is on the edge.
But there seems to be a significant push against this idea of tariff hike, of course, by the telcos at this very time. Considering the economic burden Nigerians have had to endure recently, it has been described as very insensitive in some cases and not in the interest of the consumers. What will be your response to this, and how do you and your colleagues plan to make this beneficial to the end users should the NCC approve a hike?
Well, like I said, we empathize with we live in Nigeria, we are Nigerians, and we understand that things are tough and people are going through a lot. And the government, I believe, also understands it as well. So from us, we are trying to balance the whole idea of sustainability with affordability. Right. There is no use embracing a tariff regime that you then put a price point out there for that the people are not able to afford. Now, so the people must be able to afford the services because the telecommunication services are very critical to day-to-day living of the people. So we are not very insensitive to that idea. So what we're saying is that we also need to survive because if we do not have the required investment to keep the services going, the consumer will lose in the long run because we will not be able to deliver the service. Now, people are complaining about drop calls, network outages, and then power outages and stuff like that. Those challenges will persist when we are not able to address them with the required investment. So this is really a question of, is it the chicken or the egg, which comes first? Is it affordability that comes first or sustainability that comes second? Reality is that there has to be a balance because if there is no balance, then it becomes very difficult. Everybody loses in the long run. So what we are appealing to the public to say is that we need to be able to keep alive so that we can then continue to reinvest in the sector that has powered the economy, to be able to keep the people connected. While we empathize with the challenges that people are going through, we also want to assure the public that this is really not about profit and expanding the profit margin of the business. It's really about making sure that we can continue to be a going concern. We are not plunging ourselves into more debt that is unsustainable, that we're not able to pay back. The only reason why anybody will keep investing in our sector is if we can generate enough returns to be able to pay back those investments. And then I believe that the government is looking into that as well, and the government basically understands the plight of the people, but the government also understands that the industry needs to continue to be a going concern. So there has to be a balance between affordability and sustainability, and this is why we're saying we need a market-reflective tariff structure in order for us to continue.
Okay, but before I let you go, now the push for this has been speculative with news making that the rounds that telcos want 100%. while others said it should be around 40%. What's the appropriate pricing structure that you think should be followed?
Well, that's a very tricky one, right? Because if you look at it, some of our cost lines have gone up by almost 100%. Some have gone up by almost 300%. On the blended cost point of view, we realize that our blended cost has gone up beyond 100%. So it is rational for industry to say, hey, I need to be able to transfer my costs and pass on my costs to the end user so that I would not absorb those costs alone. Now, but like I said, it is a tricky one, whether it is a 20% or 30% or 40% or 50%. The most important concept is what we call the old market reflective tariff. By market reflective tariff, I'm talking about cost-based pricing, tariff that are determined based on really understanding the cost of production that we incur as we run the service. And we also need to ensure that this tariff is quite dynamic so that it can either fluctuate based on the changes in the market conditions. So that, of course, if you look at it right now, energy cost is the biggest cost item that we incur. This energy is powered either by diesel generators or by the commercial power structure that we have. Now, most of us are connected to band A. Like, you know what band A is today. The prices are very, very high. So as the prices of energy goes high, it impacts our ability to continue to power those sites if we are not able to, in quote, recover that cost. We also have the issue of the cost of investing in infrastructure. Most of the infrastructure that we invest in are dollarized, meaning that we have to import equipment from outside Nigeria, and then that is also dollar denominated. So when you then have a foreign exchange currency devaluation to the tune of almost 300% or more than 300%, what that means is that we are not, and we are earning revenue in Naira. It means that we need to be able to then earn enough revenue to keep investing in the market and to keep investing in quality. So I wouldn't necessarily put a value to say it must be 100% or it must be 40% or it must be 50%. Yes, the TELCOs will want to pass as much cost as possible to the end user if we can, but we also need to be mindful of affordability, and we also need to be able to ensure that people can afford the services that we are rendering. So this is the argument we're making to the government, that it's supposed to be a market-reflective tariff, and not necessarily a tariff structure that keeps the industry in a bind.
Mr. Obafemi Banigbe, we still have a lot to discuss, but time won't permit today. I would like us to have part 2 of this conversation so that we can dig on many more issues affecting the telecommunications industry. But let's see how that works out. With your time, we can always have that happen. Thank you so much for joining us on the program, Chief Executive Officer, NAN Mobile.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you. Well, that's our show today. Thank you so much for being a part of it. We'll see you again tomorrow, same time, where we'll talk more.